Claire Bennett always knew the ocean was more than just a job. It was her refuge, her element, her home. Since she was 6, she dreamed of becoming a marine biologist and later a dolphin trainer. She lived for every glance, every flick of a fin, every moment when a dolphin seemed to understand her wordlessly. Her work at the research center in Sevastopol didn't promise wealth or fame, but it offered something no other profession could: meaning. Every day she dove to reach her charges, especially Echo, a growing male dolphin she'd raised literally from infancy, after his mother died in an oil spill off the coast. Claire would say he breathed in unison with her. Nobody understood how deep that bond was except her. That morning began as usual. The sun slowly rose above the calm Black Sea. The air was thick with salt and coolness, and Claire, as always, was the first on the pier. She passed the dolphin pens, stopping by each to greet them as though they were her child. But Echo was acting strangely. He refused to swim up or leap, as he normally did. He seemed afraid. Claire crouched at the pool's edge, looked into his eyes, but saw nothing but anxiety. She dismissed it. Just a quiet morning, she thought. The dive was part of routine training. The cameras on the seabed needed cleaning. Claire put on her wetsuit with eyes closed, checking her gear mechanically. On shore, the trainee Eric monitored the schedule. He was inexperienced, but Claire was a veteran. He didn't need to supervise her. She dove without hesitation, gracefully as ever. The cold water enveloped her body like a cloak. Everything felt achingly familiar. The shimmering light above, bubbles floating upward, the slow descent, the creak of her fins, the dull thud of her heartbeat. At 20 meters deep, she reached the first camera rig when Echo suddenly appeared. He darted to her, nervously circling, his movements erratic and sharp. This was no playful gesture. He knew. Claire felt a chill spread through her body, not just from the water. Echo struck the water with his tail, creating a boom that pierced her ears. He swam to her, then away, as though urging her to follow. Something was wrong. Claire looked downward and saw a shadow. At first, it seemed a trick of light, just a shape in sand cloud. Then it moved against the current, slowly, confidently slicing through the water. Claire's breath caught. This was too big for a tuna, too fast for a turtle. Echo rammed her again, trying to push her away from danger. Claire's regulator trembled from tension. She began ascending, slowly, carefully, the way she was trained. One wrong move, and you're not at the surface. You're in the jaws. A school of sardines erupted from nowhere in silver flashes. Time stretched. Seconds became eternity. Then, a sudden strike from below. Pain. Something hit her legs. She screamed into her mask, but the sound vanished. Echo darted between her and whoever struck. She felt strats ripping, blood mixing with water, cold turning into fire, the ocean filled with panic. All she saw were Echo's eyes. He didn't flee. He stayed. He circled. He was fending off a shark, a great white, one unseen in these waters for decades, or perhaps never before recorded. Claire felt her body losing control, slower, heavier, her arms moving like in a dream. Echo nudged her upward, pushing her with his rostrum. Every meter upward was eternity, each one agonizing. Her blood trailed behind like a red invitation. She realized she wouldn't make it. She looked at Echo and exhaled. Claire came to at the surface. Air rushed into her lungs like a storm. Her body felt trapped in a vice. They hauled her onto the pier. Eric had jumped in as soon as he saw the churn and blood trail. Medics arrived 15 minutes later, but in the ocean's time, it felt like hours. Claire lost consciousness from shock. Her right leg ruined below the knee. Miraculously, she survived, where dozens had simply disappeared. Doctors called it a miracle, but Claire knew it wasn't a miracle. It was Echo. While she lay in the hospital, the center closed its doors to visitors. Investigations began. Local media erupted in outrage. How could a shark have come so close to shore, where thousands wade every summer? The administration tried to hush the incident, but one fact couldn't be ignored. A week before the attack, 2 cameras had recorded movements of a large predator. Someone on staff had silenced the alarm, marking it as a false positive. When Claire learned this, she fell silent. This wasn't an accident. 3 weeks later, limping with a steel brace on her leg, she returned to the center and demanded to see the archived footage. What she saw shook her to her core. The shark had been spotted twice, but management decided not to disclose it, fearing the loss of their seasonal grant. They replaced safety with commerce, with money. They knew, yet still sent her down. There was another shock. Footage from Echo's training sessions in the last few days showed him desperately trying to communicate, refusing commands, thrashing in his pen, trying to bite through the net that separated him from the open sea. He knew, he felt, maybe he even heard the predator's ultrasonic signals, but nobody understood. Or worse, nobody wanted to. Claire tried to speak with the director of the center. He listened, shrugged, and advised her to take a break. When she threatened to go public with the recordings, he merely smirked. "Who's going to believe you? You nearly died. Maybe you just imagined it." That's when she understood. She'd been betrayed twice. First, when they sent her diving, knowing the danger, and then when they tried to make her forget. But the real pain came a week later. Echo disappeared, vanished from his pen during the night. Conveniently, the cameras malfunctioned. The official version: a storm damaged part of the net. The Dolphin escaped into the open sea. But Claire knew better. They had removed him. He had become too inconvenient a witness. The people running the center decided it was easier to erase the evidence than explain themselves to journalists and inspectors. She tried everything to find him, reached out to the military, the Coast Guard, even international wildlife organizations. Nothing. Echo vanished like anyone who knows too much. Then, one day, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a flash drive. It contained footage from an underwater camera not registered in the official system. Someone at the center hadn't been able to stay silent. The video was just 3 minutes long. Night. Murky water. 2 figures. The first, a dolphin thrashing desperately in the corner of a net. The second, a person in a wetsuit holding a harpoon. One movement, one shot, silence. Claire turned off the video, stared into the void. Then she stood up, opened her laptop, and began to write. She published everything: the camera recordings, proof of the cover-up, the video of Echo. Most importantly, her story. The post exploded online. People cried, raged, demanded justice. But it was too late. Everything she loved was already destroyed. And yet every day, at the same hour, Claire returned to the shoreline. She stared at the horizon and whispered the name no one else remembered anymore. Echo. Weeks after the scandal broke, Claire started receiving strange letters. Not emails, not official, handwritten, shaky, uneven letters, as if penned by someone unfamiliar with the alphabet. They contained no threats, only cryptic lines like, "He's alive. They lied. Look into the deep." At first, she dismissed it as a product of trauma and exhaustion. Grief plays tricks on the mind. But then, one envelope held something else, a small piece of plastic with a number etched into it. She recognized it instantly. It was Echo's chip, implanted under his skin. It couldn't just fall out, only be cut out. Someone wanted her to know. Echo hadn't escaped. He'd been taken. Fear strangled her. but along with it, a spark of determination. She decided to go back to the bay. The part of the ocean where it had all happened was now officially closed. But she knew a way in, an old tunnel leading to the service pier. She went at night, silence all around, stars above. In her ears, only her breath and the pounding of her pulse. Every step hurt. Her injured leg throbbed. When she reached the pier, she saw a boat. Small, unlit. Beside it, a silhouette, a man in a black jacket. She approached cautiously. He turned, face hidden beneath a hood. Without a word, he handed her a tablet. On it, a satellite map with coordinates far offshore, about 40 kilometers from land. He spoke only one word, farm, then vanished into the darkness. The next morning, Claire rented a boat from an old fisherman. She gave no explanation, just the coordinates. The old man shook his head. "You sure you want to go there?" She didn't answer. They left before sunrise. The sea turned crueler, the sky darker, as if nature itself sensed where they were heading. As they neared the location, a foul stench filled the air, metallic, rotten, like blood mixed with fuel. When the GPS indicated they'd arrived, the sea beneath them felt wrong. Foam, ripples, movement below. The fisherman refused to go further. Claire dove in alone, with full scuba gear. She knew it was madness, but she couldn't stop. Deeper, colder, silence everywhere. No sound, no life. Then she saw it. A massive structure underwater. Metal, netted, with cameras. A prison for marine animals. Maybe an experimental farm. Maybe a black market training facility. Inside the cages, shadows. Some moved, others didn't. She swam closer. Her heart nearly stopped. Echo. He was alive. His dorsal fin torn. Skin covered in ulcers. Eyes filled with pain. At first, he didn't recognize her. But as she approached, he froze. Then gave a faint, clicking sound. Their sound. He remembered. But then she saw something else. Something she never expected. In the next cage, another dolphin. Smaller, younger, same color, same fin shape, same birthmark on the back. An exact copy. In that moment, it hit her. Echo had been cloned, or used in some genetic experiment. It wasn't a rescue, it was a revelation. From the depths, something massive emerged, a giant shark, but it didn't attack. It patrolled, like a guard dog trained to protect a farm. That's when she realized this wasn't random. The shark that had attacked her was part of a system. Marina's body trembled as she surfaced. The fisherman silently pulled her aboard. She said nothing. She only stared into the water. Tears didn't come. The pain was too deep for emotion. Onshore, she collapsed onto the sand. Dawn was breaking behind her, but there was no light left in her world. Only betrayal, torment, and the darkness of the deep. She couldn't return to a normal life, not after seeing the underwater prison. Everything inside her had shattered. At night, she saw Flint's eyes, intelligent, desperate, hollow. By day, she couldn't sit still. She had to act, but she had no proof. Her helmet cam had failed. All she had left was pain, and the growing sense that someone was watching. She turned to someone she once avoided, Lisa Novikova, a former colleague and rival. Once, Lisa had wanted Marina's job at the aquarium. Now, she worked for an NGO investigating crimes against marine life. At first, Lisa didn't believe her. But when Marina described the cage structure and the mark on the cloned dolphin's body, Lisa turned pale. She couldn't return to a normal life, not after seeing the underwater prison. Everything inside her had shattered. At night, she saw Flint's eyes. intelligent, desperate, hollow. By day, she couldn't sit still. She had to act. But she had no proof. Her helmet cam had failed. All she had left was pain, and the growing sense that someone was watching. She turned to someone she once avoided, Liza Novikova, a former colleague and rival. Once. Liza had wanted Marina's job at the aquarium. Now, she worked for an NGO investigating crimes against marine life. At first, Liza didn't believe her. But when Marina described the cage structure and the mark on the cloned dolphin's body, Liza turned pale. Only 3 such operations existed, and all were supposedly shut down. They returned to the same coordinates, but this time, Liza brought a deep-water drone. It descended. The screen lit up. Metal structures appeared, empty. Every cage open, all equipment dismantled. Not a single animal. Only one thing remained. A scrap of Marina's suit, still caught on a cage bar. A trap. Someone knew she would return. That night, her apartment was broken into. Everything overturned. Her laptop gone. Even old notebooks. And on the bathroom mirror, written in lipstick, "Your turn." She trembled. This was no longer a secret. It was a war. Someone wanted her erased. The next day, Liza sent her an audio file. A recording from a private radio channel. A male voice, heavy accent, ordered, "Eliminate the target. Wipe the archive. No witnesses." Marina froze. They were talking about her. That night, as she sat in her car, someone slid into the back seat. She nearly screamed. But his voice stopped her. "Don't be afraid. I'm on the inside." He showed a badge. A former engineer at the lab that had shut down 2 years ago. His name was Igor. He told her the project was called Depth Z. Its goal, to study marine mammal behavior under simulated threats. They began with dolphins, then added sharks. They implanted neurochips to manipulate instincts, military potential. But things went wrong. One dolphin, Flint, was too smart. He resisted. He began influencing the others. So they marked him for termination. But they underestimated him. He remembered faces. Marina listened, stunned. This wasn't just a conspiracy. It was a tragedy disguised as science. Everything she'd seen, the attack, the aquarium shutdown, was just a cover-up. "You don't get it," Igor said. "He didn't attack to hurt you. He was warning you." They sicked the shark on her to make it look like an accident. And Flint, they took him to erase his memory. But he didn't forget. The next morning, Marina vanished. Phone off. Apartment empty. Liza found only an opened envelope on her desk. "I have to go back. I have to finish what we started. If I don't return, tell the truth." 3 days passed. Liza was about to contact the police when she got an anonymous message. "Watch the video." The link led to an encrypted channel. The footage began from a deep-sea helmet cam. Murky water, dim light filtering down. At first, just concrete structures. Fish. Then, him. Flint. Not weak, not wounded, but strong. Fast. He wasn't in a cage. He was free, swimming beside another dolphin. Their movements graceful, like they knew someone was watching. Then, from the darkness, a massive shark. Not aggressive, protective. And in that moment, Flint turned to the camera. He made the sign, the secret click only Marina would understand. And then, the video cut out, but a new message appeared. From Marina. Her voice trembled, but it was resolute. "If you're watching this, it means I'm gone. I chose the deep, a place with no more lies, no more people. I found Flint, and he's free. But the price was too high. They tried to control nature, but nature cannot be controlled. The shark is not the enemy. It's the final guardian, the last hope for truth. My story ends in the deep. Yours is just beginning." And the screen went black. Liza knew Marina hadn't just disappeared, she was gone, into the depths, among the shadows of sharks and the echo of dolphins who remembered her voice. But the scariest part? Someone else had watched the video. Someone who knew the truth was getting too close. In a dark office, surrounded by the hum of computers, a single desk lamp flickered, once, and went dark. The truth lies in the depths, and there it remains. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. More incredible stories are on the way. Stay with us. The truth is always closer than it seems.